going after the children,
Amen.
threatening their children.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, and you have to watch the show for anything but entertainment. I mean, cover yourself with the blood of Jesus first, but these people are sick.
And they're sick. You heard this deranged human being and threatening people, yet there are thousands and thousands of Christians out there that worship every word Benny Hinn speaks. They send him almost all the money they own, and they scream, "Touch not thy anointed," like he's God in the flesh.
Yeah, and you know what? I've seen in the Bible codes where he is a candidate to be the one that will raise the Antichrist from the dead.
Well, that I would not doubt for 1 second.
He will raise the Antichrist from the dead. And of course it's an illusion because the Antichrist isn't dead. He's in a coma. At this time, I was just shocked to see Benny. Well, I wasn't real shocked, but I mean, Benny Hinn, he's still a candidate to be the false prophet, but then we've got Maitreya and Sananda and this whole role that's going to come in as Maitreya, so I don't know if we just have Benny Hinn hanging out as a third beast or what,
Or a number one disciple.
Yeah, we know he's going to have all of his little followers. It's going to be a little bit a bigger clientele than what we seem to think.
If you're listening out there right now and you heard that tape, did that sound human to you?
Yeah.
If we're taking calls tonight, aren't we, Sherry?
Yeah, you know what, let me give the number out. People can call in at 260-356-2611. Let me give out these 3 cities that need to be watching their back for the next month. In fact, there is a terrorist attack threat and warning out for December 27th, and that is for Dallas, Atlanta, and Houston.
Dallas, Atlanta, and Houston.
On December 27th, and this is from the German intelligence.
Well, did you know that there's a Bible code about an anthrax attack on Dallas?
Well, you know what, I've been working on codes, and I'm seeing that in Dallas I've always seen a nuking, and then I've always seen what looked like some kind of, air attack, where the air is poisoned, some kind of chemical attack.
Isn't that what Ted was supposed to speak about tonight?
Ted was going to talk about these 3 cities and this German intelligence stuff that was rolled out.
Well, you mentioned about Dallas as one of the targets that mentioned by the German intelligence, and there is a Bible code about an anthrax attack in Dallas.
Yeah, and you know who's running it?
Who's that?
I know, everybody just brace yourselves because you're going to be so shocked at the person who was in charge of making these attacks happen, and that's Paul Wolfowitz, our own Assistant Secretary of Defense, who was behind the one that's supposed to be the one to pull these attacks off, so that, this is the 9 points that's supposed to happen out of these attacks. Number 1, you've got detonation on December 27th, could be delayed, but all intercepts point to this date. Number 2, the State Department then blames Al-Qaeda, whose leaders are allegedly hiding in Iran. And number 3, Iran then truthfully denies giving refuge to said leaders. Number 4, Bush issues Iran with a cowboy-style deadline for delivery of alleged leaders. Number 5, Iran fails to comply because it cannot. 6, UN convenes an emergency session. No agreement is made. Number 7, other and foreign intelligence agencies dispute the State Department version. Number 8, happily for Wolfowitz, Osama bin Laden releases a videotape claiming responsibility, warning Americans not to attack his brave warriors in Iran. And so number 9, then, American fighters launch a decapitation attack on the Iranian government and alleged Al-Qaeda bases. This whole attack is to set up their war on Iran.
Sherry?
And you got this from where?
I got this information from apfn.org.
Sherry?
Yeah.
I'm having a little trouble hearing Harry tonight, so if he can get him to yell at me, it would be great.
Okay, yell, Harry.
You hear me now?
Yeah, that's better. And you have John from Indiana on the line.
Put John on.
So, good evening, Sherry.
Well, hello, John. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. I enjoyed your show last week, and tonight is just excellent.
Well, thank you. It's always good to hear from you.
Yeah, I had something for you on regarding both shows. You probably heard this before, but as you know, Santa and Satan are just a permutation of the letters.
Right, anagram, however they say it is.
But interestingly enough, the first time the word Satan appears in the Old Testament is in the 359th chapter of the Bible, 1 Chronicles 21. And Christmas occurs on the 359th day of the year, and the Hebrew gematria of Satan is 359.
That's very interesting.
And you mentioned the year 2005. In Greek, that's Haimera Teskrisios, is the Day of Judgment.
Day of Judgment.
Day of Judgment. Well, a lot of things are pointing towards this coming year as the Day of Judgment.
You know, I was asking somebody what the term benediction means. I remember it in church as the last thing you did, so I was thinking it was a way of saying goodbye, it's over. But because benediction crosses the term 2005.
What was that word again, John, in Greek for 2005?
2005, it's the phrase in English, the Day of Judgment. In Greek, Haimera Teskrisios.
Haimera Teskrisios.
Yeah, Teskrisios.
That's a man who studies Greek.
Well, I didn't come up with it. It's on BibleWheel.com under 2005.
Oh, you pronounced it so good.
Yeah, really good.
You pronounced it so good, like you're a real pro at Greek.
Well, you know, John, there is a lot of code information pointing to events that could happen in the year 2005 that could really bring us close to the coming of Antichrist.
Yes. There was one other very interesting thing that you may have seen, too. There's a large bronze broken globe. It's a sculpture that is in front of the UN. It looks like the globe of the Earth with many deep cracks in it, and as you look in the cracks you can see sort of gears and other things. It's an abstract, and it's a very large sculpture. There's only one other like it in the world, and that's at the Vatican.
Wow, what a coincidence.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Same artist.
That's a great coincidence, John. The Vatican and the UN having the same exact sculpture out You know, John, before you go, I just wanted to say something. Sherry, I showed you this the other night. I just figured I would do this for the fun of it, whatever. I did a Santa Claus Bible code, and I was amazed at what I came up with. I found Santa encoded with wickedness, sin, falsehood, abomination, Satan, lie, and unholy. And in any way you spell Santa Claus, that's what came up in the Bible code. I just thought that was pretty fascinating.
Well, it was a very brave program that you did last week. I imagine you got some unpleasant emails over it, but I thank you for it.
You know what was funny was I was expecting some hate mail on Santa Claus, but what I got was anger mail when I said Hanukkah was no better. And then yeah, the people that had dumped Christmas for Hanukkah didn't want to hear Hanukkah wasn't any better. So they were the ones kind of upset about that. But you know what? Hanukkah was also a secular man-made holiday. It wasn't instituted by the Lord.
I didn't know that.
You know, Hanukkah was something back from the Maccabees when they beat the Syrians, and the oil burned all night, and that's how that whole tradition came out. But it was Satanized back in 1948 when they decided to add the presents in to mimic the Christians' Christmas. You know, and so they Satanized it and put in a couple more traditions in with it back in 47, 48 when Israel became a nation. So it even took another turn to being changed. So Hanukkah today is not the Feast of Lights it was, you know, back in the early church days.
Well, at least it doesn't carry the destruction and the lie that the Santa Claus myth does.
Yeah, you know, at least, you know, at least that. If I was, you know.
You know, believe it or not, Sherry and John, I actually got some good email about Santa this week. I've had some pastors write to me and say, "Dear Pastor Harry, I have to admit you're right about Santa Claus, but you're wrong about everything else." That's what they actually told me. So I was surprised, but it's just pathetic. All these Christian parents, they lie to their children about Santa Claus, and then they wonder when their child grows up why they don't listen to them about anything. You know, if you lie to your children about Santa Claus, don't expect them to believe you about Jesus. It's a pretty simple message, but I appreciate that, John.
Well, thank you.
Anything else, John?
Just that in the secular news, you've probably seen over the last week or so that the big money people are getting out of the stock market at an incredible rate, and it does look like 2005 is going to be an amazing year. I'm going to be reading your codes and visiting your site every day.
Okay, well, it's good to hear, and I'll be having updates on it daily now. The Lord has me going into more of the alien